Stop. Do not buy the 2026 Hyundai Elantra. Not yet, because Kia just dropped a bomb with the new K4 that might make the Elantra obsolete, and nobody is talking about the one crucial spec difference that actually changes everything. If you care about your money, you need to see this before you sign any paperwork. This is the Korean Civil War we have been waiting for. For years, the Hyundai Elantra has been the king of the value sedans. It was sharp, it was cheap, and it was good. But the Forte is dead, and from its ashes we got this, the 2026 Kia K4. It's bigger, it's weirder, and it's trying to steal every single customer away from Hyundai. Today, we are going to tear these two apart. We are going to look at the engines, the real-world interior space, the tech that actually works, and the prices. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which sibling you should adopt and which one you should leave at the orphanage. Let's start with the looks, because this is where the biggest divide happens. These two cars are built on the same platform. They share a lot of DNA, but they look like they come from different planets. The 2026 Hyundai Elantra is sticking to what it calls parametric dynamics. If you walk up to the side of the Elantra, you see that famous Z-shaped crease in the doors. It looks like an origami project made of metal. It's aggressive, it's sharp, and it catches the light in a very specific way. For 2026, Hyundai kept the front end very low and wide. The grille connects seamlessly into the headlights, making the car look like it's squinting at you. It's a design that has aged pretty well, but it is starting to look a little bit familiar. We've seen it for a few years now. Then you have the Kia K4. This thing is a risk. Kia calls this design language opposites united, but I just call it bold. The K4 looks like a baby Stinger mixed with a spaceship. It has these massive vertical headlights that push all the way to the corners, and the roofline is a fastback style that sweeps all the way to the trunk. But here's the detail you need to notice, the rear door handles. On the Elantra, they are where you expect them to be. On the K4, they are hidden up in the window trim near the C-pillar. It gives the car a two-door coupe look, even though it's a practical four-door sedan. Now let's talk numbers, because size matters here. Both of these cars sit on a 107.1-inch wheelbase. That is identical. They are both exactly 185.4 inches long, so parallel parking them is going to feel exactly the same. But the difference is in the width. The Kia K4 is 72.8 inches wide, while the Elantra is roughly 71.9 inches wide. That sounds small, but that extra inch of width on the K4 allows Kia to flare out the fenders a bit more. It gives the K4 a wider, more planted stance on the road. The Elantra looks a bit more narrow and tall by comparison. The wheels on the base models for both are going to be smaller, likely 16-inch alloys, but when you step up to the Elantra N-Line or the K4 GT line, you get 18-inch wheels that fill out those arches much better. The Elantra uses sharp, geometric wheel designs, while the Kia goes for a more futuristic, almost blocky wheel design. It really comes down to this. Do you want a car that looks sharp and aggressive like the Elantra, or do you want something that looks blocky, futuristic, and a little bit controversial like the K4? Open the door, and the war continues inside. This is where you are going to spend all your time, so pay attention. The Hyundai Elantra has a very driver-focused cockpit. When you sit in the driver's seat, there is literally a handle on the center console that separates you from the passenger. It walls you in. Everything is angled toward you. The screens, the buttons, the vents, it's all for the driver. In the 2026 model, on the higher trims like the Limited or N-Line, you get dual 10.25-inch screens, one for your gauges, one for your infotainment. It's a clean setup, but it is starting to feel just a tiny bit dated compared to what Kia just did. The materials in the Elantra are okay. You have some hard plastics on the door panels, especially in the back, but the touch points, the armrests, the steering wheel, they feel decent for the price point. Now hop into the Kia K4, and it feels like you jumped 5 years into the future. Kia has ditched the traditional dashboard layout for a massive slab of glass. They're using the new CCNC operating system. That stands for Connected Car Navigation Cockpit. It combines the digital gauge cluster and the infotainment screen into one giant panoramic display that spans nearly 30 inches across the dash. It looks expensive. It looks like something you would find in a luxury EV, not a budget sedan. The steering wheel in the K4 is also weird, but cool. The Kia logo isn't in the center, it's offset. It's a two-spoke design that looks very retro-future. And unlike the Elantra, the K4 interior feels more open. They don't have that grab handle walling off the driver, so the cabin feels wider and airier. Let's talk about the tech usability. Hyundai's system is legendary for being easy to use. The menus are simple, the response time is fast, and you have physical buttons for the climate control. Thank goodness. The K4 also keeps physical buttons for the climate, which is a huge win. We hate touch capacitive sliders for volume and temperature, and luckily both of these brands understand that. However, the K4 has a slight edge in processing power. The new CCNC system is snappier, the maps load faster, and the graphics are crisper. If you're a tech geek, the K4 is going to appeal to you more. If you prefer something traditional and cozy, the Elantra is the way to go. And we have to talk about the seats. In the Elantra N-Line, you get some sporty bolstering that hugs you nicely. But the K4 GT line offers seats that look like they were pulled out of a concept car. They have interesting stitching patterns and unique headrests. Both cars offer heated seats, and if you go to the top trims, you can get ventilated seats in both. That is a feature you usually don't find in this segment, so huge props to both Hyundai and Kia for offering that.
If you have friends or kids or dogs, this section is for you. Since these cars share the same wheelbase, the legroom is shockingly similar. Both the 2026 Elantra and the 2026 K4 offer exactly 38.0 inches of rear legroom. That is a lot. For a compact car, that is massive. You can fit a 6-foot adult back there without their knees digging into the front seat. But there is a catch: the headroom. Because the K4 has that sloping fastback roofline, getting in and out of the back seat is a little bit trickier. You have to duck your head a bit more than you do in the Elantra. Once you're inside, the headroom is tight for taller people in both cars, but the Elantra feels slightly less claustrophobic in the back because the window line is a bit more traditional. Now the trunk. This is one of those numerical details I told you to watch out for. The Hyundai Elantra gives you 14.2 cubic feet of trunk space. That is decent. It's enough for a grocery run or a couple of suitcases. But the Kia K4 beats it. The K4 offers 14.6 cubic feet of space. I know, 0.4 cubic feet doesn't sound like much, but that's the difference between smashing your bread loaf or keeping it fluffy. The K4's trunk opening is also nice and wide, making it easy to load things in. Both cars have 60/40 split folding rear seats, so if you need to carry something long like a rug or a snowboard, you can do it. But keep in mind, neither of these is a hatchback. There is a K4 hatchback coming, but for this comparison, we're strictly talking about the sedans. Alright, let's get under the hood. This is where the numbers really matter. Most people buying these cars are going to get the base engine. In both the 2026 Elantra and the 2026 Kia K4, the base heart is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It is naturally aspirated, meaning no turbo. The specs are identical, 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. They're both mated to an IVT, Intelligent Variable Transmission. This is basically a CVT, but it uses a chain instead of a belt, so it feels a little more responsive and doesn't have that rubber band effect as bad as some other cars. Driving the base models, they feel fine. They aren't fast. 0 to 60 takes around 8.5 to 9 seconds. It's enough for commuting, it's enough for the highway, but you're never going to win a drag race. The engine noise is there when you floor it, but for cruising, they are quiet enough. But what if you want speed? This is where the controversy happens. The 2026 Hyundai Elantra N-Line comes with a 1.6-liter turbo engine that pushes out 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with a 7C DCT transmission. This transmission snaps off shifts fast. It's fun. It feels engaging. The Kia K4 GT Line Turbo also uses a 1.6-liter turbo, but, and this is a big but, it is tuned differently. The K4 GT Line Turbo makes 190 horsepower. That is 11 horsepower less than the Elantra N-Line. It also makes 195 pound-feet of torque. And instead of the snappy dual-clutch transmission, Kia decided to give the K4 a traditional 8-speed automatic transmission. So what does that mean for you? It means the Elantra N-Line is going to feel jerkier, sportier, and a little more aggressive. The K4 GT Line Turbo is going to feel smoother. The 8-speed auto is better for traffic. It doesn't lurch at low speeds like the DCT can. But from a pure numbers standpoint, the Elantra wins the horsepower war. And we cannot forget the big daddy, the Hyundai Elantra N, not the N-Line, just the N. That monster has a 2-liter turbo making 276 horsepower. Kia does not have an answer for that. There is no K4 GT with that kind of power. If you want a track weapon, you buy the Elantra N. End of story. But for the regular consumer comparing the N-Line and the GT line, it's a choice between sporty responsiveness from Hyundai and smooth power delivery from Kia. Suspension is another detail you need to know. The base models of both cars use a torsion beam rear suspension. It's cheap, it's simple, but it can get a little bouncy over bumps. However, if you upgrade to the K4 GT line or the Elantra N-Line, you get a multi-link rear suspension. This makes the car handle so much better. It stays planted in corners and soaks up bumps without upsetting the chassis. If you enjoy driving, you absolutely want to spend the extra money for the trim levels that have the multi-link rear suspension. Now let's talk about your wallet. The pricing for 2026 is very competitive. The 2026 Kia K4 starts at an MSRP of roughly $22,190. That is an incredibly low price for a car that looks this new. If you want the GT line, which gives you the cool wheels and the styling, but keeps the slow engine, you're looking at around $25,390. The top dog GT Line Turbo is going to set you back around $28,290. The Hyundai Elantra starts slightly higher, around $22,625 for the base SE. The N-Line, which gives you that 201 horsepower engine, starts around $29,400. So, notice that? The Elantra N-Line is actually a bit more expensive than the K4 GT line. You're paying a premium for that extra 11 horsepower and the Hyundai badge. Both cars come with that famous 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. That is the best safety net in the industry. It means that even if these engines blow up in year 8, you're covered. That gives you peace of mind that you just don't get with a Honda or a Toyota. Fuel economy is also a wash. Both the base 2-liter engines are going to get you about 34 to 36 mpg combined. If you do a lot of highway driving, you can easily see 40 mpg or more. They're efficient machines. So, which one should you buy? Here's the verdict. If you're a driver who cares about handling, who wants that snappy gear change, and who wants the maximum horsepower for the money, you get the Hyundai Elantra N-Line. It's still the sharper driver's car. It feels lighter on its feet, and that dual-clutch transmission is just more fun. But if you're looking for the best daily driver, the 2026 K4 is the winner. The interior is miles ahead in terms of design and tech. The 8-speed automatic in the turbo model is smoother to live with in traffic than the Elantra's jerky DCT. The K4's looks more expensive than it is. It turns heads, it has a bigger trunk, and it costs slightly less. Kia has come in and built a car that isn't just a clone of the Elantra, it's a more refined, more futuristic evolution of it. For 90% of people watching this video, the K4 is the better buy. Check out this video right here to see how the K4 destroys the Honda Civic.